So embodiment, when you look into it, is basically kind of relaxing. It's about relaxing in this moment, here, into our physical body. And then what becomes really, really, really important is how we relax. Is our attitude towards the physical. You know, when we connect with the physical body, you know, basically from the start, it feels like home. It's where we move back into when we are a little bit shocked. It's where we kind of, move back into when we fall asleep. Before we fall asleep, we really connect with the physical and start to relax. Relax the physical, relax the thoughts, which is part of our physical existence here. It's the way we think. We relax our belly, we relax our legs, we find a nice position, and we kind of move more deeply into the body. And then we surrender to the body and fall asleep. And we fall asleep with the fullest trust that the body will stay alive, that we will not stop breathing, that the heart will not stop beating. And basically, we need to sleep because of this surrender. The surrender to the body basically is helping the body to recover to what we do to it during daytime. In our awake position during daytime, we kind of are so often in a fight with our physical existence. We try to control our emotions, to repress, I don't want this, I don't want this. And often we want our body to be different, have different looks. We try to keep our body in a position where it does exactly what we want it to do. Basically, our attitude to our body is often kind of...
Sorry. Alsof ik het hoorde.
Basically, our attitude towards our body is like a dictator. This I want, this I don't want, this is okay, this is not allowed to exist. And of course when you're, more into spirituality, your heart has to be open, so we put a lot of emphasis on the heart. We repress everything which is in the pelvic a little bit. We demand action from the body. And action, not like that we have the patience to kind of wait till action is coming forward from the body itself, but it has to be now, or later, or not now. It's like a little constant struggle. And when you look to it, to this struggle, it's like we deform slowly the naturalness of the body into a shape which the body suffers. So let's look a little bit more deeply into our physical body. What is it? We look at it as a thing. But what is our physical body? So when we look in a very small scale, what we see our physical body is built by proteins, minerals, molecules. We look at the molecules. These molecules are part of this planet. Every molecule, every atom which is in our body is part of this planet. And they're arranged in a way, the atoms, that they become molecules. And when we look in the far, 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 far distance, the start of life on this planet, what you see is atoms start to kind of arrange themselves like molecules. And then they start to arrange themselves like a kind of proteins. This is the start of life. And one of the first kind of proteins who starts to work together are the mesosomes. Mesosomen. They're little bodies which are still inside our cells. They make a protein. They give messengers and messages. They're still inside our cells. This is the first life. So what you see at a certain moment, you see this, that kind of, different forms are developed, and then forms start to work together to be able to survive. So different little particles of life start to come together, and then you have a cell at a certain moment, the first cells starting together in a closed sphere of little particles which are alive. That means that if we look into a cell, we see, all kind of little bodies which are alive in themselves as well. So when a cell dies, the last part of the cell which is dying is the chromosome. The chromosome.
En net zei je mesosoom.
Yes, they die before the chromosome. So the chromosome is also an alive piece of the cell. It has its own life. So each cell of our body is containing life. And the cell in itself is alive as well. So at a certain point, cells start to kind of work together, and forms of clusters of cells are coming forward. And these forms are inspired by the chromosomes, having the knowledge how to build a form. And forms get more and more complex. But at the same time, every particle in a cell is alive, working together with other particles, cells working together with other cells. So when we look in this way to the physical body, every little bit of the physical body is alive. And every little bit of the physical body is alive and is totally dedicated to the whole. It tries to function in a way that the whole is benefiting by its existence the most.
Mm-hmm.
And this comes to a point where we kind of are connected with this alive body who knows exactly how to live from the tiniest particle, how to survive. Who knows best how to upkeep. And being in this body, what we do in a way is that we separate ourselves from this body. And this is a little bit crazy because this body is alive and we are in it, and at the same time we say what we feel as home, that this body is a kind of stranger. It's double, because we feel at home and it is a stranger. We treat it as a stranger and we feel at home. We think it should be different, but it feels right. You know, if you just could imagine that you're in the body of somebody else, would that feel home? But still, we would like to have the body of somebody else. It should be different. You recognize what I'm talking about? So, what would happen if we wouldn't interfere with our body? What would happen if we just let our body be? Just allow the body to live its own life. What would happen? Yes, we would get very, very relaxed. And we would come to peace, to silence, to openness. We would be able to perceive the life which is in the body. To perceive the little sparkling life of each cell. We would perceive the community which our body is. The incredible belonging of each cell to the body. So what would happen if we would meet a cell in the body with an attitude of friendliness or an attitude of care? What would happen?
Opens up.
It opens up. And what would be reflected?
Harmony.
Harmony, care,
Life.
friendliness, life. Because already, you know, if we meet the body with friendliness or care, what we become aware of is the whole vibration of friendliness, of care and care, which is in the body already there. There is a movement of friendliness and care. So the question is, are we, when we move with an attitude of friendliness towards the body, and with a movement of care towards the body, towards each cell of the body, allowing it to kind of have its own life? So what's the difference between us and the body? Is it our care or the body's care? Both. So care is moving through. Is it our friendliness or is it the body's friendliness? Are we deciding to move or is the body deciding to move? So, sometimes we hear music and we start to dance. We start to dance. And when we surrender to the dance, then, it's not us who's dancing, it's not the mind who's dancing, because if the mind is dancing, after a while it's a little bit embarrassing and stupid and things are not moving like we want to move. But if we let the body move on the music, and the body is dancing by itself, these are moments that we can feel, the ecstasy of being alive. We can totally relax and rest in this. And the movements the body is making are making sense. It feels natural. So in this, if we go to a dancing and we dance like this and the body is dancing itself, we never embarrassed. But if the mind is deciding how to dance, we're quite embarrassed. Because we off the rhythm, doesn't go exactly as we want to, and others could look and they could see our mistakes and they could see how we are not perfect. This is the mind. So basically the mind is making this separation. Between the body and the body. So what's really, really important when we look into embodiment is our attitude. Our attitude towards our physical existence, and give it a break, give it a chance. Give it a chance to kind of function by itself, to take form by itself, to express by itself. So we started to talk about, molecules, and all these molecules are part of this earth. And basically the earth is built of stardust. All the atoms which are in the earth are coming from a star, from the oven of a star. A star is a big oven, and in this oven what is produced are atoms, the building stones of the universe as we know it right now. So when we look to the history and the reality, what we see in a way, the chemical reality, is that all the atoms as we know them are in a way connected They're part of the universe as we know it. So we're built from particles of the universe. So the universe, in a way, is giving form to itself through our bodies. And it doesn't give form only through the human body. It gives form to an insect's body, to a tree, to the planets, to everything which is alive. It gives form to itself. But each form is also part of the whole. As one tree is part of a wood. You know, with our mind we can separate a tree from a wood. With our mind we can kind of, walk through the forest, and there is this little plant in the middle, and its roots are connected with the roots of other plants, and it's growing there and part of the wood. And we can look at this plant and we say, okay, this plant doesn't belong here. This is a stranger, this plant, it doesn't belong here. We should kind of rip it out because it's not part of this wood. This is not the experience of the plant. This is not the experience of the wood. This is not the experience of the universe. So, if we look to the universe expressing itself in all the life which is there. We are part of it. And kind of bringing different dimensions and aspects together in every living being. And I don't think there is a dead being in the universe. Everything is alive. So the universe doesn't feel separate from us. And when you look and you connect with the universe, what do we feel? If you really connect with the universe, what is the attitude of the universe towards us? Get rid of these insects? I don't think so. It's an attitude of love and care. Friendliness and care. So to move into this attitude of friendliness and care towards the physical is also a reflection of a bigger attitude of friendliness and care from the whole to every living particle. It's part of, it belongs. Our soul is part of the universal soul. Our spirit is part of the universal spirit. There is not a piece inside ourselves, as far as I know, which is not part of the different dimensions of this universe, which is not part of creation. But then we want to be more. We want to be special, we want to be different. So there must be something which is not part of this universe. There must be something which is not part of this gigantic cycle of life and death. We need to separate ourselves from this. And this separation is also reflected basically in the physical. So how we treat the physical, how we are relating to physically being here. So, would it be truthful? Is it true that there is a separate part inside us which is not part of this universe? Is this true?
Try.
We can try. You know, but let's kind of move in a slightly different story again. You know, let's take one molecule of water. One molecule of water which is kind of moving through the air and becoming part of a cloud. And then the cloud moves and the cloud climbs a little bit against the mountain and starts to rain, and the water is going down through the ground, drinked by an animal, pissed out again into a river, and slowly moves to the ocean.
Recycling.
Recycling. And then this molecule is part of the ocean. This molecule is totally surrendered by the same molecules in the ocean. So where does the molecule finish and where does the ocean start? Is there a separation between this one H2O molecule and the ocean? Can we see a separation there? Does it feel separate? Was it ever separate? Was water ever separate from water? So is the ocean one molecule? Or is one molecule the whole ocean? Are they part of each other? Is each the same, in a way? Could it be that one molecule of water being part of the ocean, being totally in the ocean without any resistance, is becoming the whole ocean? There is no difference between the experience of the ocean or the experience of this one molecule. Could that be? If the molecule doesn't separate itself, could it be? The molecule and the ocean are the same. So, if this is true, that the molecule and the oceans are the same, so what's the separation between us and the universe? If we build from atoms of the universe. Physically. If our spirit is part of the spirit of the universe, if our soul is part of the soul of the universe, all these levels, could it be there is no separation? That the universe is us and we are the universe. So to kind of move into embodiment and to kind of surrender to the physical, to surrender to everything which is the physical. It doesn't stop with this, what we see as a separate body, which is not that separate. It's a relaxation in being a part of the whole, in being the whole. It's a relaxation in a deep ecstasy of life. It's a relaxation in being part of the universe, in being the universe. It's a relaxation in a deep, deep, deep belonging. In a deep, deep, deep care. In a deep, deep, deep friendliness. And love. The universe has as a whole for itself. And this love, this care, is expressed through us as well. It's expressed through us as what we call perception. It's expressed through us as our ability to be aware and exactly here, where this love and this care is there, expressed as awareness, is where we separate. Expressed as our consciousness is where we separate. We say, okay, I'm different. I'm aware of this body, so I'm different. The body and me is not the same. I'm different. But this awareness, is this your awareness? Or is it just awareness moving through you? Is it really your awareness? Is it really your consciousness? Or is it just light moving through every little living element of ourselves. Bundling in what we call awareness. Is it the awareness of every molecule which is bundled in our body? Is it the consciousness? Meeting the witness from outside. It is around us, it's in us, it's reflecting through all matter. But is it us? Is this what we are? Is this ours? Or is this part of life? So, if this is part of life, that would indicate if we relax and surrender to the physical, to our existence right here, now, as we experience it, that would mean that our awareness, our consciousness would start to expand. Because there is not a division. We're able to let it through as it is. To develop itself as it is. To kind of find shape to itself as it is, without interfering. And I think there are strong indications when we surrender that this is exactly what it does.
Do you want to say the last again?
So when we surrender to our being here in the physical, that this expansion of awareness, consciousness takes place by itself. We don't need to do anything for it. It's just there. It was always there, is there. So this is not separate.
Why don't we dissolve then? When we do that?
We dissolve.
Yeah.
And what's dissolving, and the only thing what we kind of is dissolving in this, and what we lose and what will die, is the separate I. This is the illusion of separation. This will dissolve. Ego structures, illusions, fear is what we have to be, but what we not are. So if we really move to the depth of being in the body, surrender to the body, fear will come forward. This is the fear of the separate I, because the moment we really embodied, the separate I cannot exist anymore. It cannot exist.
It's like falling asleep.
The moment we fall asleep and we move, we have to release the separate I. Otherwise, we cannot fall asleep. It cannot exist there. And we do it with such a relief. We kind of, let go of the separate I with such a relief. Every night when we go to sleep, it's such a relief. We don't have to be anything at that moment. We don't have to do anything at that moment. We can just surrender to what is. Separate I has to go. We can sleep. If the separate I is too active, we cannot fall asleep. You recognize what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Even if you say, I want to fall asleep, the body has to fall asleep right now, is no way. It's only panic because there's no control. To let go of it will make us fall asleep. Okay, let's leave it like this for now.